Real YouTube. Wait, what? Oh. How did that happen? I've never had that happen before. Very weird. Anyway. Real YouTubers do the tier list. No, that didn't really come out the way. Whatever. Today we are tiering fairy Pokemon. You know, the O is not great here, I'll be honest with you. I can accept that, but I like the way, I like kind of the general slanty aesthetic of this. Put this in a modern art museum or something. Anyway, hello. What's going on? It's me, Microsoft Paint guy. And today I was thinking about which video I wanted to do. So to be specifically, so there I was, sitting in my chair, thinking about what do I want to upload today? What do I want to grace the good people of youtube.com/WolfeyVGC viewers? What do I want to provide for them today? And I thought, so I've had this idea for a while, and I've always kind of stayed away from it because I had the idea specifically of tiering Pokemon within a certain type. And I've stayed away from it because I kind of felt like once I started, I would have to do them all. But then I realized, like, oh, you know what? Maybe this is just something we do for fun every once in a while if people want it. So if you like this content, there's obviously, I think, 16 more types in addition to Fairy type that we could talk about. Some of them are more interesting to me than others. So, yeah. If you want to see more of this, make sure you leave... Hold on, music. Make sure you leave a like, make sure you leave a comment. Also, we're getting close to 250k. I did say I would reveal the back of my head at 250k, so you have that to look forward to. So if you haven't subscribed already, you can consider it if that's something you want. Anyway, okay, so like I said, we're talking about Fairy type Pokemon today. So I'm going to be ranking these based on how good they are competitively. And although it's going to be a little confusing probably, we're not going to compare them all we're going to accept that Pokemon like Xerneas, for example, are just like the legendary Fairy type Pokemon we're going to tier separately than everything else. So kind of like we did with the legendary Pokemon tier list. We're assuming that specifically these restricted Pokemon, Xerneas and Zacian, or is it Zamazenta? I think it's Zacian. Maybe it's Zamazenta. I actually don't know which is which. But yeah, the dog and Sausage Dog and then Xerneas, we're gonna say, okay, like assuming they were both legal in an Uber's metagame, where would we put them? So yeah, we're also gonna be tiering relative to each other. So even though like maybe Carbink would normally be like a D tier Pokemon, perhaps maybe it goes in the C tier here. So yeah, Fairy is an interesting type. It's very powerful. There aren't like that many Fairy type Pokemon, and a lot of them have I wouldn't say flaws. I feel like flaws is perhaps the wrong word, but they have limitations. A lot of them, in general, do. Fairy is interesting because it's specifically like it's kind of like an S tier type, but it's you know, the type as a whole has some glaring weaknesses. So obviously one of the big ones is that it's now with the removal of Mega Mawile, it's almost exclusively a special attacking type. They did give a play rough, which is very good, but other than that, like you can just very quickly look through this list and you can see, okay, there's a couple physical Pokemon on here that are good, like Azumari. You have, you know, Grimmsnarl. But for the most part, these Pokemon are almost all special, and I think that's because the moves Moonblast and Dazzling Gleam are so powerful. And they actually just created Strange Steam as well for Weezing. So, yeah. A lot of Fairy-type Pokemon fill a supportive role. You can see that we have Clefable. Wait, why is Chansey on here? Wait, why is Mr. Mime on here? Wait, some of these aren't fairies. Okay, well, I didn't make this list. I just found it. So, well, that takes away my confidence a little bit. But yeah, the whole bottom row is not Fairy-type Pokemon. We're going to add a... Hang on. Wait, why doesn't that work? Okay. Yeah. So, Fairy is also interesting because it was the most recently added type, added in Generation 6, as a way, I think, to balance Dragon types. Back in the day, back when I first started playing, Dragon type was a very powerful type. Latios was one of the best Pokemon in the format in 2012. The only thing that could switch into Draco Meteors were Steel-type Pokemon safely, and so I think in order to balance that somewhat, they added the Fairy type. Now, they may have gone overboard. I've actually made a video before talking about how I rank the different tier lists, and so if you haven't seen that, you can pause and go look at it, but I'll give you a spoiler. Fairy is S tier. Fairy is one of the best types. It's very powerful. It only has a couple weaknesses defensively. Steel, Poison, and... Is that it? Is it only weak to Steel and Poison? Holy cow. Tell me I'm missing something. Tell me I forgot something. I don't know if I've ever got anything. Yeah, it's only weak to steel and poison somehow. Is that true? That can't be right. God, this thing is so broken. Yeah, so it only has a couple weaknesses. Poison's not really relevant. Steel is relevant for sure. And then it has a bunch of nice resistances / immunities and immunity to dragon, resistance to fighting, resistance to dark. A lot of good stuff going on with the fairy typing. But yeah, these Pokemon traditionally, like, geez, you can just quickly glance through this list and see that so many of them are considered like top tier Pokemon. However, some of the bad ones are bad for sure. But anyway, with all that intro out of the way, let's talk about them. So I guess we're just going to go through in this order. I'm going to go ahead and add in, Clefairy is a fairy type, but this is not. Jigglypuff, Wigglytuff, Diancie, Mr. Mime. I don't know about Igglybuff, but wait, Igglybuff turns into, or I don't know about Cleffa. Cleffa may be fairy type. I also think, does Toga be fairy? I was looking at Boltund. Togetic is fairy, but isn't this thing just pure normal? Oh, it's fairy. Okay, let's find out Igglybuff as well. Let's make sure this is accurate. Okay, all right, Igglybuff. Igglybuff is a fairy type. Oh wait, I put Wigglytuff in there. That was wrong. Oh wait, Jigglypuff is a fairy type? Okay, but Chansey's not a fairy type. Have I made any other stupid errors? Okay, the rest of this looks fine. Okay, let's go through in order. These two are not fairy type Pokemon, unless something has changed very rapidly. Galarian Weezing. So, compared to a lot of the other fairy types on this board, I think Galarian Weezing is pretty good. It is a poison type that, you know, is immune to dragon. It has 2 amazing abilities, actually 3 good abilities, with Levitate being the worst of the 3, Neutralizing Gas being, like, I would say very, very, very good. Like, Neutralizing Gas is a phenomenal ability. It's just difficult to use Galarian Weezing. And then, obviously, Misty Surge being a premier ability, one of the few terrain setters in the game, one of 8 terrain setters in the game. It hasn't seen a ton of play in VGC 2020, I'll be honest with you there. However, I think compared to a lot of the other fairy types, I'm actually going to put it all the way up in the A tier. Yeah, it's definitely a good Pokemon. Has a lot going for it, and if you, like, had to... Like, if you were dealt a random fairy type in this list and you got Galarian Weezing, you'd be pretty happy, I think. So, we're going to leave it in the A tier. Galarian Rapidash is honestly such a waste. Psychic and... Is it fairy type? Okay. Psychic and fairy type. I would like to put it in the D tier, to be honest. I can give you a really quick like, kind of look through it. The stats are horrible. 80, 100, 105. Okay, the stats actually aren't that bad, but combined with the typing and the move pool, it's just so bad. It's like a physical fairy type Pokemon that's part psychic with an awful ability. Pastel Veil protects the Pokemon and its allied Pokemon from being poisoned. This might be a bigger deal in singles. I don't know how this interacts with the whole team in singles. In doubles, poison is like not a big deal. Like the worst thing that ever comes from poison is like you get Sludge Bomb poisoned and you're like, well, that kind of sucks. We used to run Toxic for a little bit in 2017 and like it would pop up here and there later. The thing is, it's so easy to remove Rapidash that like you can't even really justify using its ability, and its other abilities are, I honestly don't even know, Anticipation and Runaway. Like, it's such a useless Pokemon. I'm not gonna put it in the G tier because there's like pre-evolved, like Babby Pokemon here. So yeah, we're not gonna put it in the G tier, but it's definitely bad. Okay, Alolan Ninetales. I really like Alolan Ninetales. I'm gonna put it in the A tier. I was considering putting it in the S tier for a second, but I think the A tier is probably more fair. Yeah, Alolan Ninetales is really cool. It's also played in 2017. It pops up here and there over the years since then. It's like a good Hail setter. Hail is traditionally thought of as the worst weather. However, they've been buffing it slowly over the years. They introduced Alolan Ninetales, which is like a pretty good Pokemon with good moves and really good support moves as well. Aurora Veil coming off of Alolan Ninetales is really nice because you set the Hail for yourself, so it's a fast Aurora Veil user, and Aurora Veil is a phenomenal effect. It also is like Ice and Fairy is actually not bad offensive typing. Like it's not good defensively. Obviously, the 4 times weakness to Steel, and the weakness to Fire, and the weakness to Poison, and the weakness to Rock are all like not phenomenal. However, the offensive typing is actually pretty nice. Ice and Fairy will hit a lot of Pokemon. Can't touch Steel types, can't touch Fire types, of course. But other than those 2 typings, you hit a lot of Pokemon for neutral or super effective damage. So yeah, and obviously the ability to click Blizzard. Like Blizzard's a great offensive move if you can get the weather up. So I really like Alolan Ninetales. I think it's one of the better Fairy type Pokemon that we have access to, but yeah, that's just my 2 cents. I've talked about Xerneas way too much on this channel. I hope to never talk about Xerneas ever again. Xerneas is the most broken Pokemon of all time in my... I don't know if I actually want to make that statement, but like, it's definitely a contender. / it might genuinely be the most broken Pokemon that's ever been VGC legal. in my experience, like, it's so stupid. Even though it's never won the World Championships, it's still it's just like a crazy powerhouse. Xerneas is definitely by far the most powerful fairy Pokemon on this list. I can't talk to you about Sausage Dog because I don't know anything about it. I think it's Zacian. Let's find out if I'm correct. I'm correct. Okay. Hero of many battles, fairy typing. Okay. Number 888. Interesting. This thing is going to be good. I feel like they keep adding Steel-type legendary Pokemon to try and counter Xerneas, and Xerneas still doesn't care. Like, they added, like, Solgaleo last time and Ultra Necrozma Steel for me, and, like, it still wasn't enough for Xerneas. Xerneas is so powerful. So I think Zacian's probably an S-tier Pokemon. I know it has phenomenal stats. 170 base attack, 148 base speed, and then really good defenses and HP. Like, this thing, I've never played with it, so I can't tell you for sure, but it looks broken. And the ability that it has is attack stat every time it starts with a +1 attack stat in exchange for its item, which is crazy. And, like, it should be broken, I think. It's definitely not anything below S tier, but the question is it more broken than Xerneas? Because it honestly might be. Slash, what happens if you pair these two together? Because even though they're both fairy-type Pokemon, Zacian with Steel and Fairy actually doesn't share weaknesses with Xerneas because because Steel-type resists poison and Steel-type, which Xerneas is weak to. So, you can actually run both of these and have Xerneas' Fairy Aura or whatever it's called. What's it called? Dark Aura Fairy. Is it called Fairy Aura? I think. You could have that actually powering up Zacian's Fairy-type attacks even more. So, and doesn't it get Behemoth Blade as well? What the heck? Wait, where's Behemoth Blade? Isn't that a move? I think Cerebi is wrong. How do you spell Behemoth? I think I get Behemoth Blade. I don't know why it doesn't have it on this list. Does it really not learn Behemoth Blade? Why do I have a move in my head that's called Behemoth Blade if it doesn't learn it? What do we use to beat Eternatus? Okay, whatever. Okay, next up is Alchemy. I'm going to put Alchemy in the B tier. It's certainly a lot better than Rapidash. I think you could make a case that it's A tier. Alchemy has some things going for it. It has the ability Sweet Veil and Aroma Veil, meaning you can either choose to block Sleep, very valuable, or you can choose to block moves that have disabling effects, like Taunt, Encore, stuff like that. Both are really good abilities. Sleep Veil, the one that blocks Sleep is probably better. The thing about Alchemy is that it has, first of all, it has a Gigantamax form, which isn't especially good. However, it does have it. Second of all, it has the move Decorate. So, I'm going to add a tier for not fully evolved as well, actually. And Effie. Okay, cool. Not fully evolved. You could make a case for Alchemy being A tier. I mean, Alchemy has done well. It got top 8 in a regional back when we had regionals. Its signature attack Decorate is very strong. I think maybe it should be A tier actually. I don't know. It's tough. It's really tough. Decorate is a move that raises your target's attack and special attack by 2 stages, and it goes through Protect, which is very powerful. The ability to Protect and then Decorate something seems crazy, and I'm honestly really surprised that we haven't seen more usage out of it. Steel type has been pretty prevalent in the metagame. That's one thing worth noting. And the second thing I guess worth noting is that, yeah, I mean, like, its stats are lacking. I think that's the big thing. Like, if you randomly give it a Choice Scarf, it's still not faster than Dragapult, which is a thing, or like, which is a problem. And then you also have the added issue, which is that, so Decorate, like I said, the target of the move gets a +2 attack and special attack boost. The issue with that is that it's stopped by Redirection, and in our current format, Redirection is kind of king. Redirection is on almost every team, and it's, you know, like, it's not like having one Redirector is enough to guarantee that you won't get a Decorate off, but it does make it pretty difficult, especially because the Decorate strategy is something you'd normally consider doing up front. So I don't think Alchemy is bad. I think maybe A tier would be fair for it as well, but yeah, I don't think it's especially good. Milk Nursery, whatever. I don't think it's not fully evolved. I just don't use it. Grimmsnarl, I'm gonna put in the A tier. I don't think it's an S tier Pokemon just yet. It's an interesting Pokemon. It has the stats of an offensive Pokemon, but the ability and support moves of a support Pokemon. So, yeah. I don't know. Basically, Grimmsnarl had some play early in the format. It was nerfed early because weakened a bit by the Prankster nerfs. Prankster no longer works on Dark types, so people were running Thunder Wave on Grimmsnarl, which can now miss, unlike back in the day with Thundurus. But Thunder Wave can miss. I saw some Swagger Grimmsnarl as well. Dual Screens is a very common set on it. If you run into a Grimmsnarl, it's very likely doing dual screens. It also can do Trick Eject Button. Yeah. It's a great support Pokemon. I think it's interesting because I thought the Gmax form would be super strong, but I don't think I've ever played against one that Gmax again because like it's rather slow. Actually, it's not that slow, but it's like, yeah, it has like good bulk and good offense, but the speed is the lacking stat, and it's just so tempting to use it as a support Pokemon. Dark and Fairy is really cool typing. I like it a lot. I think it's an underexplored Pokemon. I don't truthfully believe that we're going to get much more exploration of it. A lot of these Pokemon, because we're talking about Fairy types, struggle a little bit because you know, we're like all of them are weak to Steel type. Well, most of them are weak to Steel type. So yeah, and Steel is a very prevalent type in the metagame. So yeah. Next up we have Morgrim that's not fully evolved. I mean, honestly, if you were forced to use Morgrim, you like totally could. Like, it's honestly probably about as good as a Rapidash if we're gonna be totally honest. I honestly think Morgrim is probably better than Rapidash. Sorry to the Rapidash fans. Yeah, it's just like a worse Grimmsnarl. Maybe you get a little bit more bulk with Eviolite. I'm actually not familiar enough with the stats to know that. But yeah. Hatarini. I think Hatarini is our first S-tier non-legendary Pokemon. They gave it a Gigantamax form. And the Gigantamax form of Hatarini is extremely powerful. Yeah. It like the ability to induce confusion on both Pokemon is very, very, very dangerous. In addition to Hatarini's already strong offensive stats, the Gigantamax form of Hatarini is also especially powerful because of the fact that it doesn't overwrite your Psychic terrain. So Hatarini often is paired with Indeedee female to set Psychic terrain and use Follow Me to help set up Trick Room. It's typically a Trick Room attacker. Even without Indeedee, though, using Max Psychic, Max Mindstorm sets the Psychic terrain for you, which powers up future Psychic type moves. A normal Hatarini, you don't want to use Max Starfall because then you would overwrite your Psychic terrain and, you know, power down your Psychic moves. So with Max Smite taking over your Fairy type move and causing confusion, it's like a win-win because number one, just having that move without any secondary effect might honestly be better for Hatarini, and then they also gave it a powerful secondary effect. So, yeah, I think Hatarini is a phenomenal Pokemon. It's seen a lot of success already this year. It's got some issues. It's not a perfect Pokemon, but I think it's very strong. Let's just all take a moment to say thank you for not making Magearna illegal. Magearna, for those of you who don't know, has the ability Soul Heart, which every time a Pokemon faints, it gets a special attack boost, meaning in VGC, you could use moves like Final Gambit or Explosion and KO yourself and give your Magearna a special attack boost in addition to potentially KOing some of their Pokemon and getting a special attack boost as well. It's a terrifying Pokemon, has phenomenal typing. Steel and Fairy, like we talked about, is very good typing. I'm very grateful it was never legal. If it was ever legal, we'd be in trouble. Another S-tier Fairy type, Tapu Fini. Not currently legal. Not currently legal at all. It's one of the 3 World Championships it was legal for. It's won 2 of them, along with Tapu Koko. It's one of the more defensive Tapus. Of the Tapus, Koko, Lele, and Bulu are more offensive. Fini is traditionally thought of as a more defensive Tapu. Partly because the ability Misty Surge sets the Misty terrain, which doesn't power up any moves, unlike the other 3 who power up an offensive move. Now, Tapu Fini is a really, really solid kind of jack of all trades, I would say. Its ability is super nice because it's variance control. A lot of variance in Pokemon comes from status moves, like a Scald gonna burn, is Sleep gonna last for 3 turns. And with Tapu Fini's Misty Surge, you have the ability to control some of that. You also weaken opposing Dragon moves, which is nice. It's great defensive typing. Water and Fairy are 2 of the best types in the game. And although Tapu Fini lacks immediate offense, I mean, people used to run it with Z-Move, people were in Calm Mind, people were in it with Nature's Madness. It can be supported. You can run Swagger on it because you can't confuse your partner because of the Misty Terrain as long as the partner's on the ground. It's a phenomenal Pokemon. It's winning 2 World Championships in 3 years is extremely impressive. We're also going to just do that for Koko as well. Koko's also S tier. Yeah, Tapu Koko is the high base speed stat is very, very, very valuable on it, to say the least. I'm really scared for when this thing gets Dynamax available to it, truthfully. Electric typing is really nice, and Tapu Koko is really great because it's super hard to nail down, thanks to Volt Switch. So it can often like put off a fast offensive pressure, give you a lot of free switches thanks to its high base speed, and actually, yeah, do damage thanks to, we used to run Z moves on it. People have run Assault Vest, you could do support Koko with like Nature's Madness, Electro Web, Skydrop, stuff like that. Lots of good moves you can run. It actually has a much better physical attack than special attack, but the physical attacking moves are lacking. So typically uses special attacking moves like Volt Switch, Thunder, Thunderbolt, Dazzling Gleams, that stuff. Used to run Hidden Power Fire sometimes, back when we hit Hidden Power Fire. It's a phenomenal Pokemon. It's the other Tapu that won Worlds twice. Now, I don't think either of these Tapus... I know Bulu hasn't won at all, so we're going to put him in A tier. I think both Bulu and Lele are going in them. A tier. Tapu Bulu and Tapu Lele are the currently viewed as like the lesser of the two Tapus. Tapu Lele enabled a whole archetype called Psy Spam. It's very powerful offensively, but lacks some of the... It lacks the bulk of Feeny and the kind of slipperiness of Coco. It's a lot easier to nail down, and so although you gain kind of this insane offensive pressure, you give up some bulk, some survivability, and some pivoting ability as well. So it's less flexible, I guess, is a better way of putting it. Tapu Bulu is typically considered the worst of the Tapus. It's also my favorite. Yeah. Tapu Bulu, it's the only Tapu that actually uses its physical attacking stat, even though Tapu Koko was intended probably to be a physical attacker. Tapu Bulu is the only one that actually uses its physical attack. Although it's extremely powerful, it grass typing offensively, although not terrible, it has some big issues. Fire and Steel being two of the biggest ones, because those are very popular typings. Especially Tapu Bulu was legal almost exclusively in metagame where Incineroar was very popular. So, I mean, I won a regional with Tapu Bulu. I brought it to the World Championships. I do like it. It's not a bad Pokemon by any means, but it's typically, in general, viewed as probably the worst of the four. The rankings are probably Coco or Feeny, Coco or Feeny number 1, Lele number 3, and then Bulu number 4. Now, let's talk about Comfey. I actually really like Comfey. I'm going to put it in the B tier. I think it's pretty clear that it's above Galarian and Rapidash. Really cool ability and unique move, Floral Healing. The ability gives +3 priority to all priority attacks, including, or to all moves that heal, or have healing in some component, including offensive moves like Draining Kiss. So we've already seen Comfey used a little bit. Draining Kiss is such high priority that you can Draining Kiss your partner, which is normally Dragapult or Goodra, and give yourself a weakness policy boost. Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't have D tier if I have not fully evolved. Anyway, Comfey also gets Trick Room. It has a high base speed stat of 100, but you can still use Trick Room on it as either an anti-Trick Room measure or just a surprise Trick Room feature. Floral Healing is really nice. It actually heals even more in grassy terrain, so I wouldn't be surprised to see like a Rillaboom, Dragapult, Comfey core popping up. I think that could be kind of good personally. It's a cool Pokemon. I definitely think it's underexplored, and I think that in the current format it has a lot more potential than it did in the previous generation. So, in large part because of the weakness policy Draining Kiss stuff. And Floral Healing is really good. Like, it's because normally you could like take out Comfey relatively easily because the partner wouldn't put on that much pressure, but when the partner's +2 Dynamax Dragapult, it becomes a lot harder. I'm also gonna go ahead and put Shiinotic in the it's tough. Rapidash is a G tier Pokemon. Let's do this. Because I don't think they're with not fully evolved. I put the G tier intending to do not fully evolved, so I think this is more fair. Yeah, so Shiinotic, it's like, they were like, okay, let's make Amoonguss, but make it really bad. So they removed Amoonguss' phenomenal ability, gave it like Illuminate, and like maybe Effect Spore, I don't know. They gave it Spore, and they gave it the signature move Strength Sap, which is a phenomenal move, but now it's no longer signature, so now lots of other Pokemon can use it as well. Here's the real thing about Shiinotic. It doesn't have Rage Powder. There's no rage in this little mushroom's body, so it can't play the same supportive role as Amoonguss. And so, if you were to ever use Shiinotic, you'd have to ask yourself, why am I not using Amoonguss? Although it does get Spore, it's truly just bad Amoonguss. Like, they took away the good things about Amoonguss, and they made Shiinotic. More lol is not very good. So I actually really like Ribombee, but I don't think I can justify putting it in the same tier as the other Pokemon, so I'm going to put Ribombee a tier below. Ribombee is a... I'm just going to do this now. Ribombee's an interesting Pokemon. It has the move Speed Swap, which is very, very, very powerful. Typically used on more gimmicky strategies, but yeah, still a powerful move. It also gets Pollen Puff, which used to be its signature attack, which is another healing move, similar to Comfey and Strength Sap from Shiinotic. So yeah, it's a cool Pokemon. It has a good ability in the Veil. Sweet Veil, can't be put to sleep. Overall, it's not a bad Pokemon. I think the real strength of Comfey, or of Ribombee, is the high base speed stat. The ability to outspeed a lot of Pokemon in the metagame and potentially even Speed Swap, or even just Pollen Puff or Moonblast before them, is really valuable. I mean, even on Pokemon like Ribombee, which typically play a more supportive role, the ability to like fire off a Moonblast is still valuable, especially before the opponent attacks, both because it's such a strong offensive type that you can often hit things for neutral damage and take a chunk of their health, and also the chance to drop special attack is also really nice. Let's talk about Primarina. So, Primarina, actually, thanks to the addition of Liquid Voice and the addition of Dynamax, is, in my opinion, an S tier fairy type. Hits very hard. Huge special attack stat. Pair it with Life Orb, pair it with Dynamax. It's going to be doing big damage. Water and Fairy are, like I mentioned, two of the greatest types in the game, and the ability to just output huge damage with these two is very terrifying. Anyone who's played against Primarina knows how hard it is to hit, and they actually gave it, thanks to Liquid Voice now, Spread Hyper Voice, which is, or Spread Water type move, which is a nice option as well. Now, a lot of people choose not to run that. They often will they'll actually not run Liquid Voice and instead do Torrent, so you can have, like, coverage moves, because for some reason Primarina gets Energy Ball, meaning Pokemon like Gastrodon, which is traditionally used to check offensive water type Pokemon, now have to be worried. I can run Ice Beam as well to hit Pokemon like Togekiss for more damage, or, other grass type Pokemon as well, so I don't know. It's a very strong Pokemon. Anyone who's played against it should understand why. Diancie is next. Now, I don't know anything about this Pokemon, other than it got a Mega Formy. I think it's a defensive Pokemon. I actually don't know if it got Trick Room. Let's actually find out. I think it gets Trick Room. I know it's like Carbinks. Okay, it gets Trick Room. I mean, the stats are bulky, right? That's what I remember about this thing. 150, 150, 50. It's bulky. The typing is not great. Having 50 base HP is also not great. I think C tier is probably fair. Like, if this thing were legal, you could, like, you'd see someone who was like, Diancie's my favorite Pokemon, and then they'd try and use it, and they'd go, like, you know, maybe 4-4 at regionals, which is not bad. Maybe worse than that, because it's Diancie. But, yeah, like, it's not a Pokemon that you'd be, even if it were legal. I think it's a mythical, so I don't believe it's ever been legal, but it's so irrelevant that I don't even, no, it's not legal, because it had a Mega Formy. With the Mega Formy, things change. With the Mega Formy was legal, then that would be a totally different story, but base Formy, Diancie is actually not very good. I'm going to put Klefki in the A tier. I like Klefki. I'm putting it in the A tier, baby. Klefki's a great support Pokemon. We've talked a little bit about how good the combination of Steel and Fairy type moves are. Klefki's another great support Pokemon. It can run dual screens, it can run Thunder Wave, it can run Swagger. It struggles a little bit to do damage. You can run Foul Play on it, or, like, I guess Play Rough or Flash Cannon or something, but you're not, yeah, typically Klefki's playing a supportive role. Dual screens, Thunder Wave. Switcheroo is an option as well. It's a prankster Pokemon. So, yeah, I don't know. It typically just runs a more supportive role. I would be, actually, it always runs a supportive role. I wouldn't be expecting to see Klefki doing anything offensively anytime soon. I think this Pokemon's actually legal right now as well. I believe it came back into the Isle of Armor. So, yeah, solid defensive typing and moves like Reflect and Light Screen and Thunder Wave make it a good support Pokemon. I've used it at tournament twice. I got top 4 and then I think top 32 at regionals with it. 2 different formats. So I like Klefki. Yeah, not a phenomenal Pokemon, not a great Pokemon, but a decent to good Pokemon, I would say. Carbink, we're actually going to put not in the lowest tier. We're going to put it in the C tier as well. There was an old strategy that used Carbink with Guard Split to help buff up a Diancie. So for that reason alone, I'm putting it in the C tier. I mean, it's definitely better than Rapidash. Yeah, I don't know. What else about it? What else can I say about Carbink? It's just a super, super bulky Pokemon. Like, if you look at its stats, I think it's got... Wait, does it have the same stats as Diancie? Because I seem to remember extremely high defenses and low HP. It does get Trick Room as well, that's what I thought. Yeah, it's just Diancie. Oh, okay, yeah, it's just Diancie. Oh, we put it in the same tier as Diancie. Yeah, okay. Same typing, right? Fairy and Rock? Yeah, Rock Fairy. I don't understand how this is any different than Diancie. It also gets Trick Room as well, so that was one of the roles that I used to play, just like very bulky Trick Room setter. But again, the 4 times weakness to Steel and the weakness to Ground are pretty bad, to say the least. So, yeah. Carbink, not a terrible Pokemon, it's a bulky Trick Room setter, but not a good Pokemon either. Dedenne, I think is a D tier Pokemon. It's not very good at all. Yeah, it gets Cheek Pouch. It's honestly just a waste. I'm not putting it any higher than D tier. Sylveon is S tier Pokemon, I think. Sylveon, ever since it was given... Actually, ever since it was its introduction, but especially after Pixelate Hyper Voice became a thing in late 2014, or like 2014 rules, 2015 year, 2015 form, 2015 CP, 2014 plus rules. I don't know why I harped on that, it doesn't matter. But ever since it was introduced, it's been a Pokemon that's gone in and out of favor. We saw a bit of it earlier this year. Maybe S tier's too high. Yeah, actually, I'm gonna put it in the A tier. Like, I really like Sylveon, but it's not. Whenever it's legal, it's not always phenomenal. Whereas a lot of the cases with these other Pokemon, although Primarina as well. I mean, it's tricky, right? Like, I think compared to the other Fairy type Pokemon, Sylveon is good. I'm gonna put Sylveon in the S tier. It has a very powerful Pixelate boost to Hyper Voice, meaning Pixelate powers up and changes normal type moves into fairy type moves. Hyper Voice is a spread normal type move, so it can do a lot of stuff there. We've seen Yawn Sylveon. We've seen actually some Quick Attack Sylveon used with Dragapult with Weakness Policy or Tyranitar with Weakness Policy to activate those. Overall, a very good Pokemon. It outputs a lot of damage really quickly, so you have to be really careful when dealing with it. Although it doesn't have phenomenal coverage, they did give it Mystical Fire as well, so it got slightly stronger there. And it also can be annoying with support moves such as Yawn and Helping Hand. So overall, a really powerful Pokemon. What's nice about Sylveon is that it doesn't need it doesn't need a ton of coverage moves to be relevant. If you can easily justify running Hyper Voice, Protect, and the 2 support moves, and it's still going to be a good offensive Pokemon, which is nice because Fairy is such a powerful offensive type, and Hyper Voice is such a powerful Fairy type move when you use Pixelate. So yeah, Slurpuff, kind of tricky. We saw some Slurpuff earlier this format. I'm not convinced by it. I'm going to put it in the C tier. I'm not convinced by it. That's the truth. Yeah. So Slurpuff used to be a threat in singles. People would run Belly Drum with it, but they removed Belly Drum from it. It has the ability Unburden. It also has Sweet Veil, I think. I wouldn't be super shocked. So there was a team that had some success with Slurpuff earlier this format. It used Slurpuff and Indeedee Male, and the Slurpuff would have Unburden and like Fake Tears and After You, and the Indeedee Male would have, well, it's like offensive moves like Hyper Voice and Psychic. I think you could maybe do something similar with that with the new move Expanding Force, but the other thing is that Rillaboom's on every team. It was also a really fast Yawn user, so like it's not terrible. It's definitely better than Rapidash, but it's not. I don't have enough faith in it to put it any higher than C tier right now. Whereas these other ones, like I'm confident I could do well with, but these ones I'm like maybe, like under the right conditions, maybe. Aromatisse I'm gonna put in the C tier as well, and it drops Spritzee down here. It's like a Trick Room Setter, but the thing is, it's actually not as bulky as you'd expect. It's kind of just like a weird, like, I don't know why they made Aromatisse. Like, I truly don't know why they made Aromatisse. I actually didn't know it was in the game, I'll be honest. It gets Aromavale as well. A lot of these Pokemon get Aromavale. Like, if we look at the stats here, you can see, like, they're fine. HP 101, Defense 72, Special Defense 89, really low base speed of 29, which is actually really slow. And then 99 Special Attack, but, like, this thing, like, why would you ever choose to use this thing? I don't understand. Like, what does this thing do better that, like, other Pokemon don't do? I guess it's a Fairy-type Trick Room user. I guess you could justify that niche, but, like, I don't know. I truly don't. I feel like Aromatisse they weren't really trying with. So, I'm going to put it in the C tier. It's not terrible at all, but it's also not phenomenal. Floorgas, I'm going to put in the B tier. Y'all know about the Symbiosis glitch, because that was fun back in the day. Floorgas is not currently legal. It has decent stats. It's actually really specially bulky. If we look at the stats, you can see it's really specially bulky. 154 special defense, 78 HP, 112 special attack. If this thing got Trick Room, it would be good, I think. But it doesn't get Trick Room at all. So it nerfs it a lot. It's got a decent base speed stat as well. But a relative, like, yeah, actually a pretty low base defense stat. You can compensate for this in some ways. The real issue I think about this thing is that it just has kind of all my friends are dead syndrome, despite a high special attack stat, because it doesn't have any coverage moves that are worthwhile. Like, it gets Moonblast and Grass type attacks, and that's kind of it. As you can see here. Like, you can see it only learned 4 Z moves. Bloom Doom, Breakneck Blitz, Shattered Psyche, and Twinkle Tackle. So the move pool really hurts it. I don't feel comfortable putting it any higher than that. Flabibi, not fully evolved. I'm going to put Floette down in D tier, and not fully evolved as well. However, do you all know about the event one? Eternal Flower. So there was this Pokemon that was never released, I think. I think it was via event only. I don't even think you can get it. The Eternal Flower for me learned this move called Light of Ruin, which is... How does it work? Wait, is it on here? Light of Ruin. Okay, yeah. So this is only for the event for me. Yeah, Eternal Flower. It's a 140 base power move that has recoil damage. I think it's a lot of recoil damage, and so it's a really powerful move. And the Floette actually has. Oh yeah, the stats were better too. 125 base special attack, 128 base special defense, 92 base speed, 67 defense, 74 HP. So it's like it's a super powerful Pokemon, or it's a lot more powerful than regular Floette. However, it was never released, I think, and also it couldn't evolve. So I don't know how it worked with Eviolite. I don't know anything about it, but it was very powerful in theory. I know people were really excited about it, but yeah, it was never released. So if that thing were legal, that would be a different case, but it's not. Whimsicott we're going to put in the S tier. I like Whimsicott. Yeah, it's one of the best, it is the best Tailwind setter in the game right now, and Tailwind is very powerful right now, so I'm going to put it in the S tier. Great support Pokemon, has Switcheroo, has Moonblast, has Tailwind, has Taunt, has Protect, has Fake Tears, has Tickle, has Charm, has Worry Seed. You can do a lot with Whimsicott, and I think it's pretty strong, personally. I don't think anyone can debate that it's not S tier. Cottony, we're actually going to put in the C tier as well. Cottony actually, even though it's not fully evolved, is not a bad Pokemon. There's currently not really a reason to run it over Whimsicott, to my knowledge. However, you could use it. It's been done before. So, yeah. Audino's Fairy type? I know Mega Audino. Is regular Audino? Right, chance. Oh, that's not what I wanted. No, it's not Fairy type. Nice try. I knew it. Togekiss. Do I have to explain this? This one's broken. Togekiss is broken. Is Mr. Mime Fairy type? Because all of this is actually like it might be. How did I not know that? I use Mr. Mime at regionals. But Chansey's not Fairy type. Chansey's 100% not Fairy type. Okay, Mime Jr. must also be. Happany's not Fairy type. Altaria Mega is Fairy type. Not fully evolved. Okay, there we go. Blissey is not Fairy type. I'm just gonna do this now. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. These are all not fully evolved. I don't want to talk about them. Gardevoir is okay. I'm gonna put it in the C tier. I'm sorry to all the people who have thoughts about Gardevoir. I cannot relate to you. I am very sorry. I'm putting it in the C tier. I think there were times when it was strong. There have been times. There was 2014. I liked Gardevoir briefly, but since then, I mean, Mega Gardevoir was strong. At Top Cut Worlds, it won Nationals in 2015. Fallen off a lot since then. We don't even have it right now. We don't have Mega Gardevoir. Gardevoir won Worlds in 2014 with Scarf, but that was a limited metagame. In the current metagame, I don't love it. I think it's about as good as Cottony. It's very frail. Psychic and Fairy is strong in some respects. Like, you get the Fairy type, and you get the Dark types that the Psychic type Pokemon can't hit, and you also just lose to Steel type Pokemon really badly. So, you can make a case for B tier here. I am not super crazy about it. The really low physical defense is just like a big flaw with trying to use it. So, yeah. Granbull has Intimidate, and I think Quick Feet as well. Quick Feet and Rattled, yeah. I think they buffed Rattled as well. It's not a terrible Pokemon. It gets Close Combat and Play Rough. Like, it's one of the few physical Fairy type Pokemon on this list. It's not great by any means. I wouldn't say... Oh, let's put Gardevoir in the thumbnail. People are going to be mad about that. Yeah. I wouldn't say that Granbull is, like, a bad Pokemon by any means. I think that I wouldn't personally want to use it, but, you know, like, its stats aren't terrible. The attack and HP are okay. Like, you can run Assault Vest. It gets some interesting coverage moves. Not terrible, not great. Excuse me. Azumari. Very strong. Very, 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 very strong Pokemon. Especially now that they've given us Dynamax. They made it even stronger, like, because now you don't need to use Belly Drum to be tapping into that enhanced offensive power thanks to Huge Power. So yeah, you don't even need Dynamax to make this thing work now. So you can run Life Orb or Assault Vest, or you can do the normal Belly Drum stuff, though. I actually think Belly Drum is one of the weaker Azumarill sets at the moment, so yeah. It's a very good Pokemon. Yeah, especially, like, as one of the few physical Fairy-type Pokemon, that helps it a lot, because normally people who try to counter Fairy-type Pokemon, if they're trying to counter Fairy-type Pokemon specifically, you'll keep in mind that, like, most of them are special, so having a physical one is nice. Even though Togetic is not fully evolved, I'm going to put it in the B tier. You could honestly make a case for the A tier here as well. Dynamax hurts it, because if you're going to run Togetic, why not run Togekiss? Since you could Dynamax Togekiss, but I like Togetic as well. It's a good support Pokemon. It's still a very bulky Follow Me user that's difficult to remove, so I think it belongs in the B tier. Wigglytuff we're putting in the C tier. It's not terrible. It's not terrible. It's won a regional in 2014. It's kind of unique thing is that it gets competitive. So in the past, it was run with Assault Vest and really good coverage moves: Fire Blast, Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, Hyper Voice, Moonblast. It doesn't get Moonblast actually. I think they ran Dazzling Gleam, but yeah, not a horrible Pokemon. Competitive is a great ability, especially in a Dynamax format. If you wanted to, like, really destroy Dragapult, you run Wigglytuff with, like, an Ally Switch user. And, like, Dragapult can't touch it. So I think that's pretty funny. But, yeah, so that's Wigglytuff. It's got really good base HP. A lot of the other stats are lacking, so you do kind of have to make up for it with competitive. So, I mean, it's not a bad Pokemon. Clefable's going in the A tier and Clefairy's going in the S tier. Now, those of you who are singles players might be surprised to see this, but Clefairy is objectively better than Clefable in VGC, thanks to the ability Friend Guard, which protects the partner. So, and it's also, I think, possibly bulkier. And although Clefable like has the ability to hold an item, the Eviolite is a pretty good item here. So Clefairy's seen some usage this format already. It's one of the best fairy type support Pokemon. Like, it's up there with Togekiss. Thanks to the ability Friend Guard, thanks to its ability to go for like Helping Hand, Follow Me. People have run after you. People have run Sing. Why do they run Sing? I don't know, but it's very annoying to deal with. It's a really difficult Pokemon to deal with. It's good. It's just such a good support Pokemon, and yeah, without the flying typing, you're not weak to Electric or Rock either, which can be nice. Though you also lose the immunity to ground, which is not ideal. But yeah, it's a bulky support Pokemon with Friend Guard that has had a lot of success over the years. And last but not least, we have Mr. Mime. I honestly don't really know. I mean, I brought Mr. Mime to regionals before where it was kind of good. It's got like a good ability in Filter. It's not better than Gardevoir. It's got a good ability in Filter. It's got some good support moves. However, a lot of the support moves that were good in it, Fake Out, Wide Guard, specifically, have been nerfed a lot because both those moves were nerfed with Dynamax's addition. So I feel like it's probably a C tier Pokemon. Yeah. Fake Out, Wide Guard, Icy Wind. Like, you pretty much would want to use this as a support Pokemon. It gets Follow Me via Pokemon XD, but you can't use those Pokemon in Sword and Shield, and you can't use them in VGC at all, so they're not going to be considered for this. So, yeah. Cool, so I think that's actually the tier list. Let me know what you all think in the comments down below about this tier list. This is kind of hard. It's kind of hard to rank Pokemon all within the same typing. So, yeah. Once again, if you want to see more videos like this, just let me know in the comments down below, because I'm torn on whether or not to... Oh, I should scroll up a little so you guys can see the full thing. I'm torn on whether or not I'll do another one of these, but if you all enjoy it, I definitely consider it. So, anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.